He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome, everybody, on this Monday evening. So much going on, obviously. You've probably been hearing about Lindsey Graham all day, suddenly passing away, age 71 years old. That was early in the morning on Sunday. Seemed healthy, seemed fine, but history of some heart problems in that family. His dad actually passed away at 69 from a heart attack, and this was an aortic event, unfortunately, and now already a replacement's been named for Graham. Of course, senior senator was the senior senator of South Carolina. His sister will take over his seat in the interim until, I would imagine, then there'll be an election, special election, to go Republican. It's not like this is going to mean that Democrats will suddenly win in a state like South Carolina. Graham always won very comfortably down there. But at the same time, I'm just so floored about how utterly classless people are. We saw it after Charlie Kirk was murdered. People celebrating online. And now they're doing the same thing with Lindsey Graham, and not even just online, but on television as well. Anna Navarro, who's just a profoundly horrible person. Former Republican strategist. The body isn't even cold. And here she is talking about Lindsey Graham and how actually, in her mind, he died 8 years ago because he decided to support Trump or something ridiculous. Cut number 6, go.
Look, for me, there was a Lindsey before Trump and a Lindsey after Trump. There were, two completely different Lindseys. And this brought out all sorts of feelings in me because, honestly, I felt like I had buried Lindsey when John McCain died because he became just a completely different person. And I get it. I get it that people are brokenhearted. I'm brokenhearted. I get it that people were disappointed in him. I'm disappointed in him.
Oh, yeah, you're brokenhearted so much that you're stepping on his grave. Oh, yeah, he disappointed me so much. Why? Because he supported President Trump? Because Trump won 2, possibly 3 elections, depending on who you talk to. And as a Republican senator who's been in the upper chamber for a very long time, he supported the Republican president, and that's why you buried him 8 years ago? Ugh. All right. Well, it gets worse. Jennifer Welsh, who somehow is worse than Anna Navarro, if that's possible. I mean, this is a sick person, and she is profoundly very, very difficult to work with. You thought Joan Rivers had a lot of Botox. Check out this chick sometime. But aesthetics aside, she just says, this is one of these people, by the way, that recommended that Democrats should celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk because a fascist had been taken off this earth, or just something really like some horrible stuff. Well, this could be worse, perhaps, in cut number 12. Go.
This is a moment for the Democrats to wholly start attacking. You might say, attack after Lindsey Graham's death. This is the fight of our lives. Yes, you say, here's a man who every single day preached family values and anti-gay rhetoric and talked about the killing of civilians, was a homicidal war criminal out the wazoo. And now we know, and as we've known for a long time, that he likes to put on red panties and kink around with sex workers, which, listen,
what?
I'm not some Christian prude that wants to be involved in the sex lives of everybody else. But the Katie Millers, the Stephen Millers, the Lindsey Grahams, and all of these people are that. And we need to start calling out the hypocrisy.
Oh, yeah. Wait. You like to be in red panties and kink around with sex workers? I guess you could just say anything these days, and Lindsey Graham can't sue her, I guess, since he's dead. But yeah, this is the way people speak. Oh, we're in for the fight of our lives. This is supposed to be what? The party of tolerance and decency? And then if Lindsey Graham was or was not gay, I mean, who cares? I've always said that. I don't care who you're sleeping with. All right? No bearing on anything. And the fact that you heard like a lot of gay jokes about Lindsey Graham today. Again, I thought the Democrats were very much pro-gay, pro-LGBTQ plus exclamation point. Well, what can you say? But this is just some pretty sick stuff. Meanwhile, in Maine, we had a shooting ICE agent took out a guy who tried to run him over, an illegal. Again, a car can be a deadly weapon. Most obvious statement ever made on this particular radio program. And just like Renee Good in Minneapolis, who rammed an ICE officer, didn't hit him cleanly, enough to cause internal bleeding to his pelvis. So yeah, you hit somebody, they may, especially a federal law enforcement agent, they may pull a gun and you may get shot. You're Alex Preddy and you bring a gun and then get into a physical confrontation with ICE. Yeah, well, something could go wrong there now, can it? And now it happened in a town called Beddington, I believe, in Maine. It's the 6th largest city there. Not that Maine has any real large cities. Maybe Portland, kind of, sort of, but not really. And instead of people just saying, all right, we're all in agreement that you can't drive your car and try to hit ICE agents or you will get shot. Like this is like a 99-1 issue if you're sane and sober. Nope. Instead, we had massive protests in front of Susan Collins's office, like she has anything to do with this. And oh, by the way, the guy tried to ram an ICE agent. End of story. FAFO. F around and find out. And that's what happened here. Nonetheless, there is no more Graham Plattner as far as being the Democrat running for Senate against Susan Collins in Maine. Looks like that he's going to be replaced Soviet style by Timu Graham Plattner, this guy named Troy Jackson, who is just like Plattner in terms of wanting to dismantle ICE and doesn't want to fund border security anymore and wants universal health care. And boy, he was pro-life a couple of years ago, then decided, well, if I'm going to win in Maine, I better become staunchly pro-abortion. So again, this guy is Timu Graham Plattner, the cheaper version. He's not going to win. And all I know is that Democrats, when these people get shot deep down in places they don't want to talk about at parties, they relish the fact that they could go after ICE now, therefore Trump, and they could now run all these protests. And again, the guy tried to hit an ICE agent. Does Troy Jackson, who wants to represent the Senate in Maine, is he talking about that? No, of course not. Cut number 11, go.
Hey, everyone. We just got the sad news that it looks like there's been yet another deadly shooting, and ICE was involved. This time, it was right in our backyard in Biddeford. My heart is with the people of Biddeford, the people of Maine. They need answers. We all need answers, and we deserve to know what happened here. So we're going to go down to be with the community in Biddeford at Mechanics Park at noon. If you're able to, please join us.
Oh, is that a fact-finding mission, Timu? And when the evidence is there, and we have witnesses talking about this guy tried to ram an ICE agent, you're going to apologize? Is your heart going to be with the ICE agent who nearly lost his life and probably feels horrible he had to shoot this guy? But almost between that and a car running you over, you do what you got to do. So, as usual, people are taking advantage of this stuff, including, of course, back to the View, Whoopi Goldberg, seems to think that ICE is just a bunch of white guys in the back of trucks rounding up minorities and U.S. citizens, and they're like the Gestapo, and there's one little problem with their argument, and this is cut 13. Go.
And forgive me, it is also a truck full of white guys, and you don't know what's going on. It's a truck. It's like common sense tells you not to do that.
Okay, so here's the thing about all ICE agents are white guys. 46% of ICE agents are Latino or black. Whoops. More than 50%, a majority, are children of immigrants to this country. Whoops. Yeah, it's just all a bunch of white guys running around, right? Gestapo 2.0? No. And she could just say things like that because ABC News will never, ever, ever reprimand or even correct these people after the fact. So that's how that went today. Meanwhile, oh boy, my favorite clip, so much so I was going to save her for later in the show. I can't resist. Kamala Harris, who is easily the leading vote getter, so to speak, at least as far as polls, for the Democrat nomination. She is beating Gavin Newsom anywhere from an average of 19 to 23 points in the last 4 polls that I have seen. Keep hearing, it's Newsom's going to be the nominee. No, he ain't. No, he is not. People don't like phonies. And Kamala's phony, yes. And Gavin's phony, Yes. AOC is, well, she believes what she says, so I can't totally go phony there, but she is a socialist. And outside of New York, Washington, D.C., Washington State, Denver, Colorado, yeah, that stuff just ain't going to sell in the swing states she would need to win. But the point is now that Kamala kind of taking a page from Trump, because Trump is like the sports president. He held today, I was talking about this on Fox earlier with Sandra Smith and John Roberts. There's going to be an IndyCar race in Washington, D.C. Having lived near there and have worked there, that won't be easy. All right. There are apparently 7 turns on this course throughout Washington where the streets aren't exactly wide. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if they could pull that off. But nevertheless, Trump did have like a promotional ceremony outside the White House where I learned this, by the way. I made a complete fool of myself. So Sandra says to me, do you know a lot about IndyCar and you know, race car driving in general? I go, yeah, I don't know it like I know football or baseball, basketball, hockey, but I could talk to it, sure. So I make this comment at one point saying, oh boy, I hope the pit crew, because they're going to change tires there in front of the president, I hope they could do it like in under 30 seconds or else everybody's getting fired. Ha ha. And then John Roberts steps in and goes, well, Joe, actually, they could change 4 tires, a pit crew can, in IndyCar racing, in 4 seconds. I'm like, that's impossible. You could change 4 tires in 4 seconds? And sure enough, I looked it up. Video after video showing these crews doing this in boom, boom. You blink and they're done. Like, wow. So obviously, way out of my depth as far as talking about IndyCar racing on Fox today. But hey, we can't laugh at ourselves. Who can we laugh at? The point is that Kamala Harris is now, oh, and I meant to say, by the way, as far as Trump being the sports president, first president to ever go to a Super Bowl. He drove the beast around Daytona, which I thought was very cool. Daytona 500. Went to the collegiate wrestling championships. Very, very cool. Hosted a UFC matches at the South Lawn, on the South Lawn at the White House. I could go on. I mean, but this is a guy, he's going to the World Cup final here in Jersey. When is that? Sunday. So, yeah, the guy loves his sports. And now Kamala Harris is saying, maybe I should look like I like sports too. So now she's giving speeches to WNBA teams. Here she is talking to the Los Angeles Sparks, and it's every bit as cringe as you could possibly imagine. And cut number 1, go.
And you are having an incredible impact. I travel our country. Young girls, boys, people of every gender, background, race, watch the W.
Yeah.
The W?
And understand how inspiring it is. So keep doing what you're doing. You guys are impacting people who you may never meet, people who may never know your names or mine, but they are aware of what you are doing, and it is giving them a sense of their value and their dignity and what they have a right to expect from this world. So congratulations on this game, but congratulations as much as anything else for the path you guys are charting. It is extraordinary to watch. That's it. I just together.
Oh boy.
3.
1, 2, 3. Together.
Oh man. All right. Well, that was like listen to Pat Riley, right? That was like Lombardi in front of the Packers. Oh boy. I mean, if you are J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, just bears repeating, if she is the nominee, oh, talk about a gift. She's somehow getting worse at all this stuff. And again, she'll have to campaign for 2 years, not 107 days, 2 years of that. Yeah, third time will not be a charm for the former vice president. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. Back with so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So we were just talking about Kamala Harris and how she is the prohibitive favorite to be the Democratic nominee in 2028. But I have a feeling she won't be tapping goofy Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be her running mate again. And this guy is just a horrible, horrible governor. And he pardoned an illegal, slated for deportation. He raped a 10-year-old girl. And then Walz, along with State Attorney General Keith Ellison and State Chief Justice Natalie Hudson, decided that, we're going to give this guy a clean slate. And then Marco Rubio, thankfully, stepped in and did something about it. So let us first hear from, let's go right to Marco, actually, the Secretary of State, who said, no, this guy is going home. He's not going to spend one more minute in this country, despite what the goofy governor tried to pull. This is cut number 19. Go.
Just weeks ago, a convicted sex offender and a foreign national was shielded from deportation by the governor of Minnesota. Laotian national Tu Li Vang was convicted of repeatedly sexually abusing a 10-year-old girl in the state of Minnesota. He even tried to pay his victim for her silence, and he called his heinous crimes a minor thing. Just days before this foreign sex offender was scheduled to be deported, Tim Waltz, the governor, issued him a pardon, setting him free to once again endanger the children of America. Well, this week I revoked his legal status in the United States, and as a result, federal agents took him into custody, and as of today, he has been removed from the United States. Because of our action, this foreign criminal will never pose a threat to any American ever again. Americans must never be forced by their elected leaders to live alongside foreign sex criminals who have no right to begin with to reside in our country. This administration will always stand with the American people and defend them from violent criminals.
Amen. Walz responded by saying that he doesn't understand how deporting this guy will make Minnesotans any safer. This is a sick, inept person. When you're sick and inept, not a good combination. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So, how is Zohran Mamdani doing as mayor of this formerly great city now that we are, 7 months in? Well, none of the promises that he made have come to fruition, not even close, bud. And now, apparently, rents have hit an all-time high in New York City. That's weird, because Mamdani ran on affordability. And it's going to freeze rents and all that stuff. And in June, it is now at its highest it has ever been. That is not good at all for the mayor. And again, where's that free childcare? Where are my free buses? Where are the grocery stores? That's right. They're not coming. But boy, he's good on social media, isn't he? Then you got to hear like some pundits say, well, it's a shame that he wasn't born here because he could run for president. My ribs I think I just broke too from that awkward laugh. Anyway, what can you really say about this guy or about Democrats in general as far as embracing this whole socialism thing? So the New York City Democrats, Socialists of America co-chair, her name is Grace Mauser, and she joined my colleague Griff Jenkins on Fox and Friends earlier this morning, and she is refusing to say whether, all right, you're for border security, right? And you are for deporting people who are here illegally, especially criminals, right? Wrong. Cut 10, go.
Do you really believe in open borders and not having deportations? That's just incredibly contrary to law enforcement and security.
America has a really long history of welcoming working class immigrants. My grandmother and her mother came through Ellis Island and worked from Germany and worked as seamstresses. I mean, we believe that
criminal illegal aliens in the country, don't they need to be removed?
We believe that demilitarizing the border, that violent oppression of working class immigrants who come here is not something that most Americans want. And I think the backlash to President Trump's policies really show that.
Oh. The backlash, huh? I think everybody's very, very happy with the fact that we have a secure border, the most secure it's ever been, and we are deporting the worst of the worst. But this is what these people want. And even some establishment Democrats, the sane ones like John Fetterman, ain't going to go for this. But the establishment, they are the hunted right now on the Democrat side. And the socialists have all the organization, and they have all the money, and they have all the momentum. And there's enough dumb people out there that actually believe that through a magic wand, you can get all this free stuff and nobody has to pay for it. And if there were just some logical people out there to be like, that's funny. Is there a precedent around this? Has this stuff worked in the past? No, it hasn't. That's why they don't call it the Soviet Union anymore. And that's why Cuba is about to collapse. And that's why Venezuela also went from being a very rich country to a very poor country, because they tried the socialist experiment and it did not work. Meanwhile, another socialist is running in Michigan. And I've talked about this, but it bears repeating that it's one thing to win in blue cities, in blue states. It's another thing to win in, say, like a state like Michigan, that Donald Trump won narrowly twice, lost narrowly once, if you believe that. Now, all that said, Abdul El Sayed, Dr. Abdul El Sayed, the guy who claims that he's a physician, even though he doesn't have a medical license. It's almost like Dr. Jill Biden, right? I don't know what it is with Democrats, like pretending to be doctors, but you ain't my wife, and you don't work in an ER, and you don't have a medical license, so stop calling yourself a physician. Well, El Sayed, he has called for defunding the police, in addition to abolishing ICE and ending all funding for border security and embracing communism and Marxism in general. But he's asked on CNN, why did you say you never called to defund the police? Because you wrote it. It's there. And then you deleted it. That doesn't mean you never said it. This guy's not winning. Cut 3, go.
I want to ask you about some scrutiny you've gotten for past social media posts that you deleted, including about defunding the police. Now, you've said recently you never called for defunding the police, but our K-File team here in CNN found interviews in the past where you did repeatedly back in 2020, including in the aftermath of George Floyd's killing. I want you to listen to your comments here.
I believe that we do need to defund the police, insofar as defunding the police is disinvesting in the means of incarcerating someone or killing them on the streets. What if we were to invest in social services? What if we were to invest in public schools? What if we were to invest in public libraries? What would the world look like there? And I think that has to be the way we go. And that means both investing more in these services, and it also means investing less in police.
So why did you say you never call for defunding the police when it sounded like you did in the past?
You know, what's interesting about that comment is I go in as far as defining what I mean by that. Do you disagree with investing in libraries and public services and social services? You fixate on the word defund, but what I'm talking about is war material that we
literally
made too
said
much
it
of during the war in Iraq. And then because we had too much of it, we had to find somewhere to sell it.
That's fine. He goes on for a long time after this. I never said defund the police. Then literally he's played back the clip. Oh, you're focusing too much on that word defund. Well, you said it. Oh, we invest more in libraries and social services. Yeah, try navigating Detroit with even less police or no police, but plenty of social services. That'll solve everything. Oh, man. So, yeah, if he wins in Michigan, a purple state, then the socialism thing is very much for real as far as maybe nominating an AOC in 2028. Because then I guess socialism maybe does have the momentum. Maybe that is the wave. I say it's a wave in major American cities, but it's not going to win in places like Michigan. And you could save the tape on that one. Meanwhile, Gavin Newsom, he loves the Democrat Socialists of America. Actually, he'll love anybody who he thinks can be an ally so he could really accomplish his biggest dream like ever, and that is, of course, to become president of the United States. So here is the shapeshifter who is Gavin Newsom, and you'll need 2 showers after hearing this soundbite. Cut number 5, go.
You know, when I ran for mayor, just for what it's worth, I ran against a member of the Green Party, which was, had aspects of the DSA that we know it today. There's so many aspects of the debates and arguments today that are just deeply familiar, and I think it's a very healthy thing. I'm one of those Democrats that deeply believes in addition, not division. And so I want a big tent party. I want to win. Big tent party wants to win, even if you're embracing anti-Semites, because plenty of those in the DSA, that's certainly for sure. Oh, and I guess that you're for raising taxes. I guess you are, given the way you've run California. Government-run healthcare, like the whole thing, no private insurance. Is that the big tent you're talking about, Gavin? Because if you keep embracing these people, you are writing the campaign ads for J.D. Vance
and or Marco Rubio. That's certainly for sure. Now, Stephen A. Smith may run for president on the Democrat side. And he believes that, well, maybe he isn't the wonkiest person when it comes to policy, but he does know how to perform, especially in debate settings. And he believes he could take out Gavin and Kamala simultaneously if he ever was up on stage with them in a debate. And cut number 2, go.
Let them find a way for me to be on that debate stage and still be able to go back to work.
Please.
I'll be there. I'll be there. I'm telling you right now. I'll tell you right now. I will show up on that stage, not knowing anything compared to what Gavin Newsom might know. Or I don't care.
Yep.
I'll be ready.
Yep.
I'll be ready for that debate now. And I don't believe that he is. I respect Gav. Yep. All right. He wouldn't beat me. I don't believe for 1 second. Do I believe I would take Gavin Newsom out? Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I believe.
Do I believe I would go against Kamala and beat her? Yes, I do. I think I'd beat most of the Democratic Party because there's too much dancing, and I don't dance. That's what I believe.
He's good. He's very good. I mean, beating Gavin and Kamala, it's not exactly like beating, Tyson and Ali. All right? I'm just saying, not the highest bar in the world there. But nevertheless, that will be very entertaining if and when Stephen A. Smith decides to run for president. Then again, I mean, he is the highest paid person at ESPN. If you want to really walk away from that contract so you can campaign full time, maybe he'll do both. I can see him doing both, right? That would make sense. You don't walk away from that money. You're nuts, because you might not get that contract back if you decide to quit to run for office. And he wouldn't get the nomination anyway because he makes too much sense on things like border security and on ICE and praising President Trump sometimes. That's not going to fly in the current iteration of the Democrat Party. Okay, before we go to break, this is how things work. All right, there are no coincidences, there are no accidents. And Rosie O'Donnell, right, who has said the most profoundly insane things on social media, even moved to Ireland because after Trump won because she couldn't be here anymore. Well, Jimmy Kimmel is taking this obnoxiously long 2-month break from his late night show, ABC. And he handpicked Rosie to be a guest host for him. Rosie O'Donnell, only because she hates Trump. She's not funny. Obviously, the days of her being a comedian, that's a long, long time ago. So Jake Tapper really upset that his buddy Colbert is no longer on the air, and Tapper is also close with Kimmel. So, of course, he's going to put Rosie O'Donnell on his news show to say some really bat-you-know-what stuff and not challenge it whatsoever, just kind of nod along to all these things that Rosie is saying. And I'll let you listen to this because, again, this is going to be late-night comedy where you thought Kimmel was insufferable. This could somehow be, well, profoundly worse. Cut 14, go.
Does that mean that when Trump leaves office, presumably January 2029, you'll come back, or it depends on who wins the election in 2028?
Yes. Well, I don't think, Jake, that he is going to survive that long. All the medical doctors that you can get accurate opinions of what's happening to him, because his demise is visible and apparent to everyone who is not willfully blind.
So Trump isn't going to live to see the end of his second term. And Tapper doesn't say a thing when she's like, well, every doctor out there says that that's probably what's going to happen. Really? At 80, he seems pretty spry. He works harder than anybody, probably in the country. And every health check that we've seen, he seems to be doing fine. So there she goes on CNN and just says, yeah, he's going to die before he ends his second term. She also went on to say that Trump cheated in the 2024 election and that Elon Musk actually rigged voting machines. And Tapper didn't challenge it at all because, well, he's got to do his buddy Kimmel's bidding and promote Rosie O'Donnell. And when she ruins that show, actually, it's already ruined. What am I saying? Somehow makes it worse. That's going to be a pleasure to watch that hot mess of a train wreck. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. So obviously, this is Monday, July 13th. 2 years ago today, I was at Fox News, about to go on the big weekend show. We were watching in the green room Trump's speech in Butler, Pennsylvania that day, only because that was when he was rumored to announce that J.D. Vance would be his running mate. Actually, we didn't really know who he was choosing. It was between Glenn Youngkin, Marco Rubio, and J.D. Vance. And the Trump sons and Eric and Don Jr. convinced the president, or at the time candidate Trump, to pick J.D. Vance because obviously his story and resonating with Midwest voters, those states you need to win, Appalachia, Michigan. He grew up in Ohio. We all know his story. And then obviously Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, probably resonate with folks there. There are other reasons why they chose Vance, but I think they saw him as the most MAGA. And obviously he's done an exceptional job as vice president. And if he wants it, he'll be the 2028 nominee if he wants it. 41 years old and has a fourth kid on the way. And he may say, you know what, maybe it's Marco's time. And I'll come back in 8 years and I'll run then and I'll still not even be 50. So he's got some options. And I think Rubio would be an even better candidate than Vance. He's just so unflappable and as serious as a heart attack, but also has a great sense of humor and doing a tremendous job in the 9 jobs he has within the Trump cabinet. Anyway, I did want to play this because I just find this to be so insulting. I forgot about this. Here's George Stephanopoulos and Martha Raddatz on ABC News. And after Trump gets shot in the ear, blood running down his face, gets up, fight. Their takeaway is that it was Trump's fault that he got shot because he tweets mean things. And when he does that, maybe he provoked a maniac like Thomas Crooks, 20 years old, to take him out. But you know what? It's almost like what you say to a rape victim. Hey, that skirt was too short. You deserved it. You bought this on yourself. That's what they're saying about Trump here. And again, these are supposed to be the serious news people over at that joke that is MSABC News. Cut number 8, go.
Of course, President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well.
Well, absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country if the criminal charges against him succeeded. And of course, in March, he said, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it. He said he was partly joking and that was taken out of context. But those are indeed his words. And you have heard it from supporters as well.
Oh, that is disgusting. He said there'd be a bloodbath for the auto industry. You liar, Martha Raddatz. That's exactly what he said. Oh, it was taken out of context. Yeah, it sure as hell was. He wasn't saying a bloodbath like blood in the streets, rioting and all that. He was talking about the auto industry and electric vehicle mandates. Oh, man. And this is after the guy got shot. Oh, but it was okay to call him a fascist and Hitler and Nazi and all this other stuff. Yeah, that rhetoric, that's okay. Trump defends himself during these bogus trials. He brought this assassination attempt on. And then 2 months later in September, I guess that guy had every right to kind of think about it because, of Trump's mean tweets and certain statements that he's made. What an absolute, boy, I forgot about that clip, but that's how it was. Meanwhile, here's the party of tolerance in full display. Representative Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, Democrat. This person's insane. And she was speaking before the ding, 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 Democrat Socialists of America, in some conference that they were having out in Michigan. And this is all clash right here in cut number 4. Go.
Look at this room's mother. We ain't going anywhere.
Good God.
Political structures that I have to work in, that we all are surrounded by, was built on slavery and genocide and rape and oppression. Real change doesn't come from the cowards and warmongers in Congress. It comes from the streets. It comes from all of us mobilizing and seizing the power to resist and fight back.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, we were a country that was built on slavery, genocide, and oppression. Boy, that sounds a little different than Trump's 250 speech, right? We're celebrating the 250th birthday of this country. And that is the perspective from the far left. It's actually a horrible country. Then leave. That's what I don't understand. She comes here, runs for Congress, talks about how horrible the country is. Go back to that paradise you came from if it's so horrible here. Slavery, genocide, and oppression. Oh, man. Whole bowl of wrong. All right. Well, before we wrap this puppy up, I did enjoy this particular clip. It was on Fox News. This is my colleague Jillian Turner interviewing Ro Smollett. Yes, that's his new nickname. Actually, it's Ro Khanna, right? Democrat, California, the guy who was the #1 champion and biggest supporter of the Nazi tattoo guy, Graham Plattner. And even when ex-girlfriends of Plattner came forward to say that he was abusive, he still endorsed him and campaigned with him. And then when the dam finally broke and Plattner was credibly accused of rape, then Ro Khanna showed such bravery in saying, all right, I guess I can't support this guy anymore. So then Khanna, who really also wants to be president because we need someone else from California to run besides Kamala and Gavin Newsom, he went to the West Bank and unannounced decided to just go on a little tour there where, if he at least in advance let people know that he would be there, maybe he wouldn't nearly get arrested. And this guy is trying to make himself into a victim, like we were almost killed there. This is oppression. This is genocide. All these things because he's trying to appeal to the far left. Well, my friend Jillian Turner would not let him get away with this little stunt in cut number 9. Go.
Did you really not know that going into a restricted military area guarded by local security forces was going to result in your entourage getting stopped?
It was not a area that was restricted by military. American Congress people had been there before. We went with
prior coordination.
If I could just finish, please, because this should be an outrage to any American citizen. What happened?
Oh yeah. In other words, this was totally and completely a performative thing. Like, remember when Joe Biden said when he went to South Africa and he got arrested trying to see Nelson Mandela? And nothing like that happened. That's what Khanna was going for here. And again, no advanced coordination with Israeli officials saying, hey, I'm going to this military zone. I want to visit. I want to see what's going on. You got to give somebody a heads up on that, or there could be a misunderstanding, Ro Smollett. Oh, man. Well, that was a fast hour, wasn't it? But we're back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC and on stations around the country and around the world. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.